session is to highlight the power of intimate, focused networking events such as the Campus Rec Leadership Summit, an annual event that takes place in June specifically for campus recreation executive directors and partners. EGYM and Towson University have been partners of the summit for many years and recently formed a partnership that began at a summit event. Before we dig into the dynamics of that a bit more, Grady and Jonathan, can you briefly introduce yourselves and your organizations? Grady, we'll start with you.
Yeah, Grady Sheffield. I'm the Director of Campus Recreation at Towson University.
Awesome.
Jonathan Besecker. I am a Senior Account Executive with EGYM.
Wonderful. All right, well, let's talk about how the partnership between your two organizations came about. Grady, I know you guys met. Which Campus Rec Leadership Summit was it? Was it last year's?
It was the year before.
Okay.
It wasn't last year. Yeah, the year before.
Okay.
So, going on 3 years.
Wonderful. And then did you first hear about them at the event or was it prior to that? Talk to me a little bit about the discovery process.
Yeah, so the first time I was introduced to EGYM was at Summit. I hadn't heard of them. I had worked with Jonathan before on some projects here, but wasn't affiliated with EGYM. And he was there with this weird looking machine. And I was like, what the heck is this? And then he told me about it and put me on it. And I was hooked because there's this competition piece to it. And he had it set up for that. And so I was in right away. But yeah, seeing it at Summit was my first exposure and learning about it.
Okay. Was there something about the Summit format or maybe the environment that made the introduction feel more natural or meaningful than maybe other conferences or ways that you would have discovered them?
Absolutely. I think that the dynamic of Summit, of having the vendors there and interacting with us from the very beginning all the way through the end and the days in between, led to more real conversations, deeper conversations than, say, at a trade show where it's just you're distracted, it's busy, it's crazy, right? You're rushed, you have other things that you want to do, you're walking around. So it's more intimate in that way. And we spent one-on-one time together during that session, but then we could follow up in conversation, whether it was in the morning at breakfast or later on in the afternoon or where have you. So yeah, I think that had I saw the equipment at like a regular trade show, I probably wouldn't have been as intrigued or bought in as I was because of the experience at Summit.
Okay. Jonathan, do you mind to share what about the Summit format is beneficial for you as a sponsor in building relationships with people such as Grady?
Absolutely. The biggest thing at EGYM, at least for how we serve Campus Rec, we always talk about mission alignment, not just with Towson, but all of our Campus Rec partners. When you are a vendor at the summit or a part of the summit, you're truly in the trenches with a lot of these directors. So you get to be a part of the roundtables, you get to hear their pain points. But outside of that, you get to know a lot of these leaders who are shaping, the Campus Rec community on a human level as well. So I'll echo everything that Grady said, but it makes having the conversations about what we can bring and how we can support Campus Rec community more credible and real. And I think it breaks down some of those walls where a traditional conference or trade show, however you want to call it, you're fighting for people's attention, and there's a lot of other things that are going on around you. So this creates a really intimate environment where we get to be kind of on the front lines with them and hear about their day-to-day and the problems they're trying to solve.
Yeah, and I know that the executive directors at the summit, they talk about the demo times in particular as something that they really look forward to. Grady, do you mind to speak a little bit to that particular aspect of the event and why you like that?
Yeah, I like it because we get one-on-one, or at least maybe one other person is with us while we're walking around during those demo times. So it's undivided attention to us, and there's not a bunch of people coming up at the same time. And it's dedicated specific time to go around with each vendor. And then, like I said before, that's going to prompt conversations that are going to happen later to follow up on. And I'll tell you, so we saw EGYM 2 summits ago, or at least I did, and I didn't have anybody with me from Towson during that time. And then I got all excited about it, but we weren't in a position where we were ready to do anything about it from a purchase standpoint. And then at last year's summit, one of our associate directors came with me, and I was all hyped because they were going to be there again. And I was getting her all amped up about it. And so it allowed her then the same opportunity to ask questions and get way deep into it in ways that I wasn't from the fitness aspect. So I don't know that having not had that experience, again, I don't know that we would be sitting here today as a partner with the EGYM necessarily.
Well, that's a great point. I think some people, some sponsors in particular, and Jonathan, maybe you can speak to this, it's a smaller event and sometimes they get kind of caught up on, well, I would really like to see 50 new people at this event versus maybe the same repeats. But I think that's actually what makes the summit so powerful is that you have the same people coming back every year and you're really able to deepen those relationships with your industry partners. Jonathan, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, the format of the summit and the people who come back, there's a reason that I think they come back. The relationship building that happens in this environment is unlike anything else that is in the experience that sets vendors up directly with potential partners in this case. And I think to your point, that environment and the continued repeat attendance in some of these cases, whether it's from the vendor side or from the attendee side, it allows you to build credibility through showing up for one another. Half of that is just being familiar. Grady showed up the first year. He got excited. We very easily could have missed on that had we not gone back the next year. And so I think part of it is you got to continue to show up for the people that are there. They have to see that you're invested in continuing to show up and continuing that relationship over time.
Yeah. Well, how has the partnership evolved since you guys decided to formally work together? Grady, can you share how you've incorporated EGYM into your facilities?
Yeah, so we brought EGYM into the facility this January, launched at the beginning of our semester. And so we were in a unique position where we did some renovations due to some other things. And so we had a space that we wanted to try and attract attention to, and EGYM fit that space, not just from the size and scope of the equipment, but from our needs from a well-being perspective. And so we're excited to do it because it's allowing us to reduce a barrier to some students who may not want to come in and utilize the facility because they're intimidated by the equipment. They don't know what to do, and EGYM helps solve that problem. It's been a very positive relationship, and we're very proud to be partnered with EGYM, part of their revolutionary first 10 rec centers to bring it to campus. And I think they're happy to have us, and it's something that it means something, it has meaning. And so to be a part of that is we're helping shape the future of our industry, and they're doing some awesome things. They have some great things that are coming out that I can't wait to be a part of.
Yeah, and then Jonathan, EGYM works with a variety of facilities, whether it's health clubs, community recreation, and campus recreation. Can you speak to maybe your key differentiator for campus rec and in particular organizations such as Towson?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because while we work with a bunch of different types of facilities, campus rec is actually super integral to EGYM's story. The idea and the inception of EGYM was founded in a campus rec. It was when our founder, he came over from Germany and he was studying here, and his experience directly shaped the ideas for how we could help more people in campus recreation. It took us a little bit to kind of get to where we're at today. And I think what Grady's saying, being a part of that Rev 10 program that we kind of put together, and them being specifically a part of that, they're shaping how we're going to work with campus rec. So the first year that we attended the summit, we didn't have any partners coming into it. Now we're up to 10. All of those 10 are a huge part of how we will move forward. So just as much as we want to provide to the campus recs, they give back to us in shaping the future and how we can support specifically this demographic moving forward.
All right. Well, Grady, what would you say to another campus rec leader considering attending the summit?
Like, why wouldn't you attend? I mean, honestly, that's what I would say. You have to. It is. I've gone to every summit except for one, and I'm really upset that I missed the one that I did. But I can tell you that there's no better professional development experience for executive level directors and even associate directors than Summit. Other organizations, they have their place in terms of what they do, but nobody does director level impact in education and development like Campus Rec Summit does.
And then Jonathan, if a potential vendor partner is looking at the summit, why should they consider being a part of it?
Yeah, you're speaking directly to the people who are in charge. That's the biggest thing. They're solving the biggest problems in campus rec, and they have to answer to student affairs and the university initiatives. There isn't another format that allows you to be directly next to them in this setting for this amount of time, and you get to hear firsthand what they're experiencing and how you can potentially help. So I think the first part is understanding their problems, and if we're right in the conversations with them, that gives us a real look at how we could potentially help.
All right, well, I'll end with one final question for each of you. If you could describe Summit in one word, what would that one word be? Grady.
One word. Fantastic.
All right, Jonathan.
I'll say collaborative.
Okay, two great ones. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for that. We really appreciate your partnership with the Campus Rec Leadership Summit from Towson and EGYM. Appreciate your time today.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate you.